One thing that bothers me about the conversation now, which is promising in some ways, the fact that people are talking about reform, whether you're Rand Paul or Bernie Sanders and everyone in between is talking about it, is that you get the feeling that we want to have our cake and eat it too. We think that we can have a system that imprisons tens of thousands of people, but that it can be, fair. And I don't know if you can have a prison where there isn't some abuse, just given the environment you create.
You think they talk about it as being fair? I think they just turn their eyes away from it. I just think it's been an unexamined, it's been an open wound that no one wanted to look at for years.
But now they're looking at it, right? Yeah. And now we're talking about the city, Rikers, that we're going to make Rikers a place where this sort of thing isn't going to happen anymore. Right. And I don't know if that's possible. I don't know if you can have a system where you have, guards who have all the power and totally disempowered people, some of whom are guilty of violent crimes and some who aren't, all together and not have. I don't know if that's possible. And that's what's always bothered me about the death penalty conversation, is that when we focus on, the kinds of drugs we use, or particular cases like the theologian woman who present a very good face, you could solve those problems and we'd still have a death penalty, which is, immoral on its face. And that's something that the anti-death penalty movement has grappled with. What do you feel about that? Do you feel that is there a danger that we will fix the death penalty but still have a death penalty?
I don't think the death penalty is fixable. I don't think that that's a system worth fixing or that can be fixed. Even if you're just talking about innocence alone, we've exonerated 156 people, and that doesn't even capture the innocents that have ended up on death row. So even on that very narrow question, to say nothing about everything else, I don't think it's fixable.
But do you think people can be deluded to thinking that it's fixable?
Well, that's the delusion we're operating under now. This idea that we can if we just choose the right drug, and we're becoming more and more absurd in the drugs that we're adopting, and it's literally human experimentation. But again, I think that the fixes we're looking at, a lot of states that have abolished the death penalty in recent years have replaced it with life without parole. And there's a way in which life without parole presents a whole new set of really big problems, which is that there's no urgency of a looming execution, so actually those cases don't get reviewed as thoroughly as death penalty cases, and yet they are still vulnerable to the same problems that we see in wrongful convictions or otherwise bad convictions in the death penalty again and again and again.
So and is lethal injection the only method used now, or do some states still do the chair or the other?
Well, what's so interesting is that because lethal injection has come under fire in so many different ways, and states have been scrambling to obtain the right drugs, there are states, Tennessee actually, where I recently relocated. I'm actually now living in Nashville for the most part. In Tennessee, they recently passed legislation to bring back the electric chair as a sort of backup method of execution, because the administration there wants to start executing people again. And in other states, it's actually the firing squad.
And it's Utah has the firing squad.
Right, exactly. And actually Oklahoma, where I recently was, has moved to start using nitrogen gas to carry out, which I actually think in terms of public perception and sort of our appetite for these punishments,
right,
in a sort of perverse way is a good thing, because it really forces us to confront what we're talking about, and it's not this kind of sanitized medical procedure,
right,
which is bankrupt on its face. It's actually, murdering another human being.